All right, welcome to today's Explainer. Get ready, because we are diving headfirst into an absolutely incredible high-energy story. We're talking broken promises, clever disguises, and the absolutely amazing way God uses imperfect people. So let's just jump straight into the action of this ancient desert world. Okay, let's start with a really relatable question. Have you ever been promised something super important only to have that promise just broken? I mean, it doesn't feel good at all, right? Well, today's amazing true story from the book of Genesis starts with exactly that. A massive, very serious, broken family promise. And the whole thing starts with a guy named Judah. So picture this. Judah has three sons, Onan, and the youngest, Shelah. Judah arranged for his oldest, to marry a woman named Tamar. But did evil things in God's eyes, and he was taken away. So the second son, Onan, was supposed to step up and marry Tamar to care for his brother's family line. But Onan, well, he acted super selfishly and just refused to help. That was also evil in God's eyes, so he was taken away too. This left poor Tamar just waiting around for the youngest son, Shelah, to grow up so this family promise could finally be fulfilled. Now, here's where things go completely off the rails. Judah got scared, like really scared. He looked at what happened to his first two sons and thought, no way, I don't want my last son, Shelah, to be taken away too. So instead of doing the right thing and keeping his word, Judah broke his promise. He wouldn't let Shelah marry Tamar. Instead, he just told her to pack up her stuff, put on her widow's clothes, and go all the way back to her father's house to wait. Well, years pass. Literally, years. And Tamar realizes that Shelah is all grown up now, but she's still not being brought back into the family. The promise was just completely broken. But then, she catches wind of some news. Judah's own wife had passed away, and after his time of mourning, he was hitting the road to a place called Timnah to shear his sheep. Tamar realized, right then and there, she had to take matters into her own hands. So what on earth is she going to do to make sure this family promise is actually kept? Guys, Tamar came up with the most brilliant, clever disguise. Step 1, she totally ditched those widow's clothes she'd been stuck in for years. Step 2, she completely covered her face with a veil so absolutely no one would know who she was. And step 3, she marched right up and sat at the entrance to a town called Enayim. Why there? Because it was perfectly positioned right on the road she knew Judah had to take to get to Timnah. So Judah is walking down that road, he sees her sitting there, and he has absolutely no clue it's his daughter-in-law Tamar. Because her face is totally covered up, he just assumes she's some mysterious stranger. He walks right over to her and they make a secret agreement. Tamar, playing it perfectly cool, asks him, "Well, what will you give me?" And Judah promises to send her a young kid from his flock of goats as a gift. Now, you really gotta notice how incredibly smart Tamar is right here. I mean, a goat is great and all, but Judah didn't exactly have it in his pocket right then. So Tamar asks for a special pledge, a guarantee she can hold on to until that goat actually shows up. She asks for 3 very specific things: his seal, its cord, and the staff he's holding right in his hand. These were literally Judah's personal ID items, and he just hands them over as a promise? Oh, and from this little secret meeting, Tamar actually ends up expecting a baby. And then comes the great disappearing act. The second Judah leaves, Tamar pops right up, takes off that veil, throws her widow's clothes back on, and just vanishes. Later on, Judah sends his buddy to drop off the goat and, get his super important items back, but his friend looks absolutely everywhere and cannot find her. He's even asking the locals, hey, where's the veiled woman who was sitting by the road? And they're like, there hasn't been any woman like that around here. Judah is totally confused, but he basically decides to just cut his losses and let her keep the stuff so he wouldn't be publicly embarrassed. Fast forward 3 whole months. Out of nowhere, some shocking news reaches Judah. Somebody tells him, hey, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, she's broken the rules, and on top of that, she's going to have a baby. Well, Judah is absolutely furious. In his blazing anger, he doesn't even stop to ask a single question. He just hands down this terrifying, harsh order to have her severely punished. I mean, the suspense here is just off the charts. But wait for this explosive reveal. Just as Tamar is being brought out to face this awful punishment, she doesn't panic. Not at all. Instead, she sends a message and a little package over to her father-in-law. The message says, I am expecting a child by the man to whom these things belong. Determine, I beg you, whose these are. And boom, out come the items. The signet seal, the cords, the staff.
Tamar had completely flipped the script to prove exactly who made that secret agreement with her.
And wow, does this brilliantly illustrate Judah's massive realization? He looks down at his own personal items. There's literally no denying it. The truth hits him like a ton of bricks. In that moment, he finally admits his own failure in breaking his promise to her. He declares, "She is more righteous than I, because I didn't let her become the wife of my son Shelah." This right here represents a massive turning point. It's the true definition of transformation. Judah realized his terrible mistake. He stopped running away from his duty, and he entirely changed his heart. It really proves to us that even when we make huge, messy mistakes, even when we act selfishly or just out of fear, we still have the power to admit our faults, own up to what we did, and change for the better. After this, Judah never ran from his family promises again. He finally stepped up and took responsibility. But honestly, the story gets even more exciting because when it was finally time for Tamar to give birth, she had twins. It was this wild, totally miraculous delivery. One baby actually reaches his hand out first, and the midwife ties this bright scarlet thread around his wrist, saying this one came out first. But then he actually pulls his hands back in, and his brother just bursts out right ahead of him. So they named the one who broke out first Peretz, and his brother with the scarlet thread was named Zerach. Just a joyful, completely surprising blessing of grace for this whole family. As we wrap up this beautiful story, let's look at some really serious food for thought from Genesis chapter 38. First off, Judah's failure. It so clearly shows us the real consequences of selfish choices, unfaithfulness, and just ignoring our duties to other people. Second, Tamar's righteousness. She is deemed more righteous than Judah, despite her pretty extreme actions, because she was the one actually trying to uphold the family promise. Third, divine grace. God uses imperfect people and incredibly messy situations to accomplish his plan. And finally, redemption and transformation. Judah realizes his sin and undergoes a total turning point. So, what is the ultimate moral of today's explainer? It's that God takes our messy mistakes, our totally broken promises, and beautifully transforms them for his grand, wonderful plan. He quite literally creates beauty from ashes. You just have to remember, God's incredible grace always overcomes human brokenness. If God can take a story this messy and turn it into a blessing, what amazing things can he do with our mistakes when we just admit we are wrong? Thank you so much for joining me on this amazing journey today. And on that note, click the bell button, like, share, and subscribe.